hey, crypto media friends, like that. Like I popped into like a character from. Like, it's funny when you're doing live streams. You see your favorite streamers just like they're looking off to the side here, very concentrated, and they have to pop into a character. And that's what I demonstrated for you here because I wanted to jump in and talk a little real guff. There's a lot of consternation. I think it's kind of funny. If you look at Twitter, crypto Twitter these days seems more like an H&R Block than it does anything else about community, right? Everyone's like freaking out about taxes, and it's there's an inconvenient reality to owning NFTs and trading NFTs, especially those flippers. It's gonna catch up. Those altcoin flippers, the NFT flippers. This stuff is gonna catch up. But here's the sort of the little minor quasi secret alpha nobody wants to tell you. Everybody is dumping right now because this is the last time that they will be able to dump and make lateral trades into the same thing they just sold, thereby realizing a loss for their taxes. The Biden administration is going to change that December 31st. And so next year, completely different ball game. We're all going to be freaking out about different things in the tax code. But right now, a lot of the slide that you're seeing is due to, and I didn't want to propagate this very early on because I didn't want everybody to do it, but I'm like, look, it's just us. It's just the crypto media friend. This isn't going like, viral or anything, but, these are people who are making strategic tax moves so that they can, let's just take Bitcoin for instance. You can sell that right now, realize that loss that you had. Say you had a big sell because you were going to get one of the luxury yachts that you were looking at, or even a home. A lot of people are selling their NFT for transferring it into ETH and then getting that first home, and that's so freaking magical and so awesome about the space. But man, that's let's say $200,000 of a gain that you made by selling that Bored Ape. Now when you take that. This is zero financial advice, zero taxation advice. But what's happening right now is people are believing in this narrative that you take that and you can offset that loss by you take your Bitcoin holdings, which have gone up and down just recently with that huge sell-off in the sort of the covered calls action, and everyone's taking that time and that opportunity to say, oh, I can actualize that loss and offset it against the $200,000 I just made. So there's a little game afoot, and so again, I share this not to say like, hey, go do this, but just so you understand, like this isn't, there aren't a lot of macro factors other than, the general typical FUD that's around, but there is a hard financial factor, at play here that's linked to taxation that people are taking advantage of. It's a loophole that again, the Biden administration is smartly closing, along with my friends in the SEC who are doing a great job. And I think that as Nike gets involved into the space, that's just going to invite more regulation, and that's not to be feared. I think it's certainly going to cause a lot of FUD, but I think if you look at sort of their presence in the space as a protective unit, sometimes they can sort of quote unquote get in the way. But I think that what you're seeing right now is sort of the last hurrah of people taking advantage of this tax loophole up until December 31st. And so take that as you will. But I wanted to talk more about today some interesting observations, a lot of questions people have been asking me about, do I own my NFT copyright? Again, this isn't legal advice, but this is, as a creator, I find this so fascinating because you have, just take Nuclear Nerds, the mint we just talked about that went on today at 4 o'clock, sold out, and you were here live as it did, and I think the floor actually was kind of taken off. But here, do I own the IP rights to my Nuclear Nerd? In short, yes. Feel free to use your Nuclear Nerd. This is so typical. Use your Nuclear Nerd as an avatar on a pair of dope new Vans or an one-off hoodie, or anything else your heart desires. Well, don't say that, guys. Just don't jack the project logo or use your nerd for evil shit. We're trying to save humanity here. Now, nice statement. Seems like you have them. See terms and conditions. T and you can call it T and C. Just keep it short and simple for full details. Now, where are those terms and conditions? I don't think anybody knows. Like it's certainly not on any of the documentation that they have. But this is typical. I'm not footing on nuclear nerds in any way. I'm just showing that this is very typical in this space, and the questions of of ownership play into, I think, what's happening in this space. And so when you look at the Murakami, you don't own a Murakami. You can't take your Murakami and like and then go and do whatever the hell you want with it and start a TV show, much like the Bored Apes and even the Vogoos of the space. And that's why I find so much value in the old school, the wicked craniums, the ones that came out very early, and they said you have full copyright of your avatar, of your PFP, of your NFT that you've purchased from us. Go and have fun with that. And I think that was the magic of this space, and I think it's going to get robbed, and I hope not too quick, because by giving that to the community, you get to create, I think what we're seeing is a lot of, sort of one-off, cool, art generation. And I think you're seeing a cottage industry, actually, when you look at the Bored Ape Yacht Club of, whether it's the babies, whether that's the, the animations that they create. There's a whole cottage industry of, NFTs derived from NFTs currently. And that's what that's what Bored Apes has engendered by allowing people to create, as they will. And I think that we're just barely scratching the surface of the potential here by giving this to the community, by giving this to creative people. And as a whole, our community is super creative. And I feel like, when I saw the Nike deal, when I saw Murakami, I was kind of apprehensive because I was just like, well, great. But as I said, Murakami is also the person who's putting his stuff, his copyright, all over tennis rackets, all over, stuff you'll probably buy at Target soon. No fun on Murakami. Genius, artist, amazing, well-deserved. But he's also bringing, and entities like that are centralized, are bringing this centralized narrative into the space. And that narrative tends to be, from the Hollywood point of view, is to get every possible right and reserve it, and to not let anyone else even conceive of something else, because you're going to get all the rights throughout eternity in every media possible through this, this work. And so artists, they deserve that ability, to retain rights, I believe. But I am also afraid that they're also going to be stifling, the creativity and the magic of the space, which is just starting. I think you're seeing it in some, some of the collabs that we're seeing. I think that Deadheads had a really, great thing in their mind to incorporate Bored Apes as a storyline within, their animated universe and make a story out of it. Going to the Bored Ape, like they made the Bored Ape Yacht Club. It didn't look so awesome, baller, but it was just like a little run down. But like they were there, and they had the apes, and they had the Yacht Club that looked like the Yacht Club. Funny enough, though, not to fun on them, but it looked like the Yacht Club that they had established within the Bored Ape world. And so when looking at these, and do I have my rights? And I think a lot of people get really freaked out, like, do I have my rights? 99.9% aren't going to do jack with them. Honestly, they're just going to freak out about it. But I think for that 0.1%, you're taking away their ability to create. And I feel like that this space, it can come in and do that, like straight away. There's a lot of, there'll be a lot of, court cases in the near future as to, where rights lie. And even as something like this website, even what they're saying in the website, is it binding in any way? We're going to find out. We're going to find out soon. And, we're talking about international, copyright law, which, is substantial and it needs to be well held. But I think that there's also an opportunity in what I'm doing with my team as we're developing our projects to give to the community. This opportunity is to put them into the smart contracts. This is the power of where we're at as a space. We can say, hey, you get not just the NFT, but you also get a piece of what we do with it, or maybe by setting limits. I think we're going to get creative here in that regard, and it could get a little sort of kitschy of like, oh wow, if I sell over 1,000 T-shirts, then it goes into the community DAO, and we can articulate this. through smart contracts. And I think that, if we're doing things, especially on chain, especially if we're doing, more generative art that's, that's based off of, initial NFTs, we can put that in the smart contract because that's pointing to, that particular property, and it can generate for somebody. And I think that that's so awesome for young artists, and for for me, remembering when I just came out of film school, what a great opportunity it would be to be able to say, oh great, I really love this concept of like Nuclear Nerds. Let's take that for an example. I want to make Nuclear Nerds and do my own TV show. I'm going to go buy 2 nerds that I think are awesome. I'm going to do this as an experiment. Watch this. So I minted one, so I'm going to go buy another one, and I'm just going to buy a friend, and they're going to be friends in, the apocalypse. Let's find out how far those rights will go. Can I create a screenplay off of it? Can I, what can I do before they start freaking out at their own ability to say, like, no, those are my nerds. That's my concept. Because, the apocalypse and having nerds, that's kind of at the heart of their concept. But if I own those 2 nerds, how far can I go off on my own with the IP? And how dangerous is that for the creators in their vision of like creating the TV show? Because this is clearly, Nuclear Nerds is clearly wanting to create an animated television show, and it should. I think it's a great concept, amazing art, and they should if they have the ability to, which I think they do. And so, but if I'm an owner, how much leeway am I going to get? And like I said, I'd like to be able to start to engender that within the smart contracts because we have that ability. And so, like I said, I'm working with my team to find ways to give those rights on chain, because that's where we're at with this space, and that's the magical place about this space. So that there are no questions. There are no like, oh gosh, do I own it? Do I not own it? It's like, yeah, dude, here you go. You have this, and I'm gonna do a TV show, but like, as long as it doesn't compete directly on my time slot, like there's time slots anymore, but like it's not directly within in the universe. We're going to find ways of defining that through our own projects, but it's going to be interesting to see how that's tested in other projects. So it's an amazing space, guys. Keep creating. Hit me in the comment section down below what you think is going to be a great TV show from an NFT standpoint.